Jack had a really good question in the last class. That how do you access the subconscious mind? So as we're getting started, from what we talked about on Tuesday night, how do you access the subconscious mind? I'm going to start calling on you if people don't answer. I'm sorry?
Turn off the conscious mind. Stop thinking.
Almost. It's close. That's what you do in meditation. But the other side of that is we've got to make sure that the thoughts we got change the behaviors we want to change. So if you're talking self-hypnosis, then we can turn it off, but before we turn it off, we got to send something for the subconscious to work on. So good answer, very good answer. Because sometimes what do we need to do? We need to just rest the subconscious mind or the conscious mind. You cannot turn off the subconscious. That's what makes your heart beat, blink, all those nice things. But it also does other stuff for you. Would you be surprised if I said you spend 98% of your time in your subconscious mind? Wow, that's a different thought. And that is research done by Bruce Lipton, who did the first stem cell researches. He's a biologist. And he had some really neat ideas of what does it, and how do you then take that access to the subconscious mind and turn that into something of value within yourself. And he says there's only two ways to do it. One is meditation, the other is hypnosis, because you have to be down into that hypnotic state, alpha or theta, which means your conscious mind is not changing or creating thoughts that are negative within your mind. So subconsciously, what do? We drive subconsciously. We see billboards subconsciously. In the old days, we'd change the gear subconsciously. Now you put your brake on subconsciously if you come to a traffic light. I know that Jim there, if it's yellow, he puts it on the gas and makes it go faster. He wants to get through there. Matter of fact, most of the people in Clinton do that, by the way, so be careful, you'll get T-boned. But those are the things that tonight we're going to work with and we're going to play with. Now, why do you think, and one of the reasons is, what I could say is, why are you here? Why do people go to a hypnotist? What is it they want to do? Carol. They want to change. They want to change something. When we put in that ad, and I think everybody found out about this through the Visions magazine, right? Good. Then I got part of that money back. Okay. He's not cheap, but he's valuable. Very valuable. He's worth what you pay him. So the whole point is people come for change. So how do we do change? Well, first of all, what does yellow stand for? Caution. That's what the yellow light is. It's caution. However, not many years ago, if you had a yellow streak down your back, what did that mean? Coward. Hey, you are a coward. Now, would you like to know what it really means? The true symbol is? It's optimism. Optimism. Sunlight, optimism. We're optimistic when the sun comes up in the morning. But what does green stand for? Besides greenbacks? Go. So we've got caution, and then boy, when it hits green, we go, right? And that's pretty close. What it really means is growth. Green trees, green stuff. We grow. So going is growing because we go out of the ideas that we're in to something else. But when we want to change, we may want to say, well, red means I'm angry. Blue means I'm what? Depressed. Well, is that true? What are the real meanings of these colors? What is red? Energy. Who said that? You told us. When did I tell you that? Last week, didn't I? Or 2 days ago. It is energy. But we also use it for stop, because sometimes it takes a lot of energy to stop what you're doing. It takes a lot of energy to get off drugs. It takes a lot of energy to quit any type of long behavioral, what do you say in the video? If it's something that you can't quit, whether it be an emotion or anything else, it means you're addicted to it. So we create our inner chemical addiction. But red really does mean energy, or you can use it for stop. So the other day I sent you home with something. What did I send you home with, and what color was it? Blue? No. It was your homework. So now I know how many did their homework. And what does the homework say? Every day and every way I am better and better. Not going to be, not will be, I am better and better. And so that's what you want to know. Okay, if blue does not mean depression, which I just feel so blue today, what would be the other color that it is? I told you all this, by the way, on Tuesday also. When we're going down, I said one and trace trace zero and all the colors of the rainbow. And see how much of you subconsciously remember that. What color is the sky?
Blue.
Hopefully, most of the time blue, right? Okay. What color's a calm, deep ocean, deep ocean? Blue. Are those calming for you? Those are calming. So blue is considered the calming color. So what we want to do is to change them from red being danger, blue being sadness, change them to the fact that they can be optimistic in yellow, green, and grow into different ways that they want to change. All right? So that's just a simple little demonstration of where we're going. So let's talk about now what you were supposed to do when you went home. How many actually put this on a CD player and listen to it? So then I know that you didn't really pay that much attention to self-hypnosis because it'll put you there. That's what it's about. So tell me, Barbara, what'd you get out of it?
Oh, I just enjoyed it so much. It was so relaxing and so peaceful.
That'll put you to sleep at night, won't it?
Oh, yeah, it would.
There's one problem with it putting you to sleep at night. Does anybody know what that is? What happens at the end of it?
Repeat.
That's the number 5. You're going to open your eyes and feel refreshed, feel alert, and feel awake. So,
Yeah.
but we have the others out there that are for sleep, and so they don't say that. You just let them repeat throughout the night, so they don't wake you up. But that's also during the evening when we do some of these relaxations. You may say, okay, I think I went to sleep. But if you woke up, or if you opened your eyes when I said the number 5, that just meant you were really deep into a hypnotic state. So that's really what that's all about. All right, so this is very important. Success equals Y plus how over attitude times action. For those of you who I've not talked to before, what is the most important word up there?
Attitude.
Okay, so how many people say attitude? Hold your hand up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not quite half. All right. How many say how? Nobody. No Indians. Okay. How many say action?
Yeah, I'm a check.
So most of the rest of you. So that means somebody's going to say why. Who said why? Nobody? Well, then everybody missed it. Why is the answer? Why is the answer? What would be a synonym for why? Motivation.
Yeah.
Because the only way you're ever going to achieve something is to be motivated enough to go out and find out how to do it. And I sent you home with a little thing called GIFT, the little guy that's building his business, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. Okay, so why plus how? You know why you want to quit smoking. You know why you want to take off the excess pounds. You know why you want to be less stressed or to de-stress. Or you know why you want to do whatever you want to do. So especially if you can't come up with a why. So when somebody sits in my chair to stop smoking, I say, okay, what changes in your life when you quit? Why are you quitting? I don't know. I just guess I want to be healthier. Well, forget it, because this has nothing to do with health. If it had to do with health, you'd have quit 20 years ago, right? All right. So let's look at, you've got to know what, not just why do you want to quit, but tell me something you'll do differently because you no longer smoke, because you've lost 20 pounds, because you're now comfortable. It's all the same. It's because how am I going to create and how are you going to create your image if you don't know what it is you're going to do when you let go of the problem? And some of you in here talked about anger, some of you talked about stress and anxiety, some of you talked about difficulty sleeping. So we're going to talk about why that's not going away too, because you're using a lot of self-hypnosis. You're accessing the subconscious mind on a very frequent basis, but you're feeding it the wrong information. So, but what about attitude now? Well, that holds everything up, doesn't it? That's your denominator. If we put this into numbers and that was a 1, it doesn't affect that up there. But if we make it a 2, it cuts it in half, right? Your why is less, your how you're going to do it's less. So that denominator has got to be a good attitude. 0 is the best, one is okay. But you've got to have the right attitude in order to believe, to hold up this belief that your why is right and the how you're going to use is also right. If you don't believe in the how, then that's a problem. What is the how here? Self-hypnosis. You're learning self-hypnosis in order to take care of whatever it was you put on that white card. So that's the key. Or we're going to go beyond the white card to the other thing I had you fill out with called basic. That basic assessment, because we want to pull something out of that tonight. Now, does this say plus action? No, multiplied by action. What's the action? We know the house is self-hypnosis, so what's the action? That's part of your action. Doing those things that you need to do in order to make it work. Somebody emailed me last week with a problem. And they said, how do I handle this problem? Do I just like listen to this CD maybe 15 minutes a day? Is that how I do it? And I said, well, what does the CD say? Well, it doesn't say 15 minutes. I said, I know. I said, I know somebody else who had that problem that listened to that CD and a couple just like it 8 hours every day and then went to sleep at night with it playing. They got better. They cured themselves. So now you've got to determine, are you willing to do the action to make this work? This is a daily action plan. And you're going to put together that action plan tonight. And we're going to practice that action plan tonight. So the point is success. Now, if we're going to have success, a part of that action is right here. Now, we saw this in the slides the other night. And the action is this. Suggestions only become permanent with repetition. So how do you repeat them? Do you have to sit and go, okay, close my eyes, take my breath. I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I'm at peace. I feel comfortable, I feel relaxed. Now, do we need to do that? No, we can just change our thinking no matter what we're doing. The breath, you got to breathe anyway, so why not just go ahead and breathe abdominally and then create a little picture of what it is you want to accomplish. If it's to lose weight, quit looking at yourself the way you are. Start seeing yourself the way you want to be, but pretend you've already changed. The subconscious mind don't know you're pretending. It thinks that you've already taken off those 25, 30, 40 pounds. So guess what it does? It makes you start eating differently to maintain that weight. And the second part of that again is nothing more. It tends towards your dominant thought. Now when you're having a dominant thought, what is it accessing? The limbic system, which is subconscious mind. Subconscious mind. Exactly. And what does it affect? Remember the video when you have a thought? You know, you're looking. What happens? Go ahead.
Well, the neurons, if they have repetitive actions, they create stronger and stronger bonds.
Exactly.
Therefore, it becomes easier and easier with stronger results.
Exactly. So you create two things. One, you create these networks in your brain from the new neurons. But the other thing, as you're creating those neurons, that hypothalamus is doing what? It's sending proteins out to every cell of your body. It's getting into that receptor site, so now you're starting to change, and you can change those memories. That's why when I work with people with pain, if we go back and say, remember what it felt like before you had this issue, before you had this discomfort, and let the cells remember how they're supposed to feel, because they don't remember. Every cell is a sentient being. It is you. It has to eat, it has to drink, it has to breathe, it has to pee, it has to poop. Every cell in your body does that. So we can affect that cell by how we think. I gave you something else to work on, this which we'll talk about now. How many of you at least scanned through this? All right, this is going to be your guidepost, your mile markers for where you're going to go. Because this is a guy that in the 30s understood you don't have to be in formal hypnosis to make the changes in your life. But what you have to do is to send the right messages to your brain. And how do you do that? Repetition, self-hypnosis. What else? Roselle?
That's why I said repeat.
Repeat it over and over. But it's like, does practice make perfect? Does it?
Closer and closer.
Well, if you practice it wrong, then you're going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
So you've got to, if you practice it in your mind first, perfectly, then when you start the, quote, physical practice, whether it be golf, baseball, what doesn't matter what it is, then you're going to be closer to achieving that goal of doing it correctly. one of the things I've worked with my family on, I've got 2 grandkids that are both athletes, and so we work on, you got to do it up here before you can do it down here, whatever it is, the game that they are working on. So this is basically telling you how you talk to yourself. Even though he had no idea about the limbic system, he just knew that what you say to yourself is what you're going to get, which is his laws right here of dominant effect and the law of reverse effect. If you're thinking about what you can't do, then you're going to do what it is you don't want to do. So, well, I don't want to eat chocolate. What are you thinking about if you're saying, I don't want to eat chocolate? I want some chocolate. So that's why you have to be careful. You've got to say the words in the right way, and most of what we're going to do tonight is you constructing those words, getting yourself into that process. All right, let's do this. I'd like for you to just kind of relax in your chair, get comfortable, and don't write on the piece of paper, by the way, that's on your clipboard. We're going to use that for a process here in a minute. That's okay. You can turn it over. You don't need much of it. And I got plenty more. It's cheap. All right. If you need it, just say, paper. All right. So if you were going to put yourself into self-hypnosis right now, what would be the first thing you'd do from what you've learned from me? The breath. Because what makes that breath unique? What does it do? Donna, you're going to say? Right. You're going to put more oxygen into those part of your lung, huh?
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas, right. Not Las, the other Vegas. Okay. You can get a lot of dope at both of them, but you're going to create your own right here. So what we want to do is if we close our eyes when we do that, then we're blocking out, there's a gland that when their eyes are open gets stimulated. It's called the anterior cingulate, anterior meaning in the front. And why they named it cingulate, I have no idea, but I could probably find it. Now, so the whole point is, once you decrease or close your eyes and stop the stimulation to the cingulate, the anterior cingulate, then there's one other thing that will put you in hypnosis, and then you focus. So it only takes 2 things. Close your eyes and focus on something, then you're going to be in hypnosis. Now, being in hypnosis doesn't mean it's always positive. Because remember, if you focus on something negative, you're still going to get a result. It's just not going to be the result you want. So therefore, only you, can control that thought that goes into that limbic system that affects the anterior cingulate, the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, all of those big old fancy names that it took me 20 years to learn. A lot of times I used to carry cards around because I never could remember who they were, and I just had it right in my pocket. So we'll talk about that in a little while. So what I'd like for you to do now is just close your eyes. Allow yourself to relax comfortably and calmly. Do 3 of those breaths. And I'm going to be silent while you take yourself to what you would consider your most relaxing and calming place. And you'll stay there until I tell you that it's time now to return. Now, with yourself in that relaxing place, that's your special relaxing place, allow yourself to see yourself being in control of whatever it is that you're here to be in control of. See the change that you're here to create. Now, I know some of you have a lot of changes. You're going to choose one at a time. You're going to work on one at a time, except in certain incidences, which we'll talk about later. Now think about, if you could imagine what it would really feel like to be relaxed, to be calm, to just feel joy, what would that look like if you were looking at yourself in a picture on TV? I heard something funny there that says, can you imagine going a week without not taking your picture or having your picture taken? Think of all the selfies people do. If you were taking a selfie of you, what would you want it to look like? how would you want to feel? Get that thought in your mind, because when you change your mind, that changes your brain, that changes the behavior, which means your thoughts rewire your brain, and that in return will allow you to take control of whatever it is you want to take control of. For some of you it might be weight, for others it might be smoking, for some it might be anxiety and tension and stress, or inability to sleep, or discomfort. Now with that thought firm in your mind, go ahead and open your eyes and come back to this time. Now keep the thought of, how do I want to feel? How do I want to be? What do I want to do? Just keep that thought in your mind. Okay, good. Jim, you want to share anything that you experienced with us?
More of a positive feeling, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, because if you think a happy thought, they already know you decrease your cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone. So your body is going to feel that sensation. I think we talked the other day about an article that if you're happy, your happiness will affect those that are around you. But those that are around you, then your happiness will affect 2 more layers down. I think the 4th layer is still about 10%. They will feel 10% of your positive happiness. What do you think, April? You have experience in the meditation side.
Like I wanted to sit straighter and actually felt lifted up.
Yeah.
Like I was growing.
And that amazing. Had one of my clients one time say, they were kind of afraid to ask the question. Says, did I leave my chair? They felt like they felt so light and so floated they actually thought that they had come up. Jim, share with me.
A feeling of optimism.
Okay, good, good. Maria, an idea of how you felt, what you experienced.
I felt very calm.
Yeah.
Very like I was achieving that I've been looking for.
Because what are you doing? You're closing out the day. Stress is something you cannot live without. Everything is stressful. But there's a couple of types of stress. One is eustress, and then one is the dangerous stress, one that doesn't go away. Eustress, you get on a roller coaster, you go up to Dollywood, it's exciting, but when you're done, it's gone. That stress, that fight or flight's gone. But when it comes up and it stays, it causes very serious medical conditions. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. So that's how you reach the subconscious. Now, go ahead and close your eyes again. And this time, just allow yourself, as you're taking 3 of those breaths again, to just listen to the sound of my voice. No other sounds, even though there may be some, are important to you at this time. Well, if there was an emergency, you would know it and you would react to it very quickly. So as you're there, think about now, what would it feel like if from the top of my head all the way down to my toes, or from my toes all the way up to the top of my head, I decided to think about what I want my relaxation, my comfort, my calmness to feel like. So just think about that term of what would it feel like if I felt just calm, if I felt tranquil, if I felt mellow. And now get rid of the if and think to yourself, I can remember when I was calm. Because if you do that, then the brain doesn't know the difference between that memory and reality. It's our perception, and our perception is reality. What would it feel like if I chose to let go of the day? We all have stresses, but we don't have to take them to bed with us. We don't have to sleep with them. We can let them go, but it takes practice. It takes practice to not let people who upset you to not upset you. And a lot of that just has to do with forgiveness. Well, I'm not going to forget, and I'm not going to forgive. Then the only person you're hurting is yourself, and you're allowing that other person to control you. My pastor said about a month ago, and I thought it was the most dynamic thing. He says, forgiving does not mean that you forget. But what it does do is it takes the pain out of the the memory. So take the pain out of your past. Allow yourself to enjoy the present, because your subconscious mind is always in the present unless the conscious mind takes it someplace else. And who controls your conscious mind? You control your conscious mind. You are the only person who can determine either what you think, what you listen to, and how you respond to what you think and what you listen to. Now, just for the next few moments, I'm going to be silent. Just let yourself be happy. What would happiness feel like when you're happy? And sometimes you have to go back in time and remember a happy time. I had one woman said, "I've never been happy." Well, that was her choice, because things are always happening that we can choose to be happy about. Do that now for the next few moments. Great. Now, before you open your eyes, smile and open your eyes with a smile on your face. Now, you can open your eyes when you're ready, but not until you put a smile on your face. I don't care if it's a fake smile. Fake's okay, because your brain doesn't know it's a fake. All the right muscles are there for the brain to think you're happy. So you've got to smile to be happy. And if you smile at people, what do, Barbara?
They smile back.
They'll smile back or think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments, or thoughts about that? Any question at all about what we've discussed at this particular point? Because I want to show you a short, it's probably 2, 3, 4, 5-minute video. Now the video is about water and how a thought will affect water. Now, after I saw this video, when my son was still in middle school, we took cuttings from that actual plant right back there. We took 4 cuttings. And we put those cuttings in water, and we wrote on the side of that plastic cup basically what you're going to see on this video, and watched what the plants did. So as you watch the video, see if you can preempt what you think the outcome was. See if you can guess the outcome of what his project was. But what was so funny is it was so out there that he didn't even get a honorable mention, because they had no idea of how powerful what he had done was. Until the science teacher come up and actually gave him an honorable mention, because the judges had no idea of the science behind what he did.
Just tell me where you are. Good. But hurry, will you please, because these models are giving me a headache.
10 minutes.
Exhibit comes to us from Japan and Mr. Masuro Emoto. Mr. Emoto became terribly interested in the molecular structure of water and what affects it. Now, water is the most receptive of the 4 elements. Mr. Emoto thought perhaps it would respond to non-physical events. So he set up a series of studies, applied mental stimuli, and photographed it with a dark field microscope. This first picture is a picture of water from the Fujiwara Dam. And this picture is the same water after receiving a blessing from a Zen Buddhist monk. Now, in this next series of pictures, Mr. Emoto printed out words, taped them to bottles of distilled water, and left them out overnight. This first photograph is a picture of the pure distilled water, just the essence of itself. These subsequent photographs, as you can see, are each different. This is the chi of love. And we move along here to thank you. And you can see where he taped that to this bottle here. But if you read Japanese, you already knew that. Now, Mr. Emoto speaks of the thought or intent being the driving force in all of this. The science of how that actually affects the molecules is unknown, except to the water molecules, of course. And it's really fascinating when you keep in mind that 90% of our bodies are water.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If thoughts can do that to water, imagine what our thoughts can do to us.
So, what did my son do? We took 4 plastic cups, like I said, that fountain out there, and my wife filled them half full of water. We took 4 cuttings, we tried to make the same number of leaves, the same place in the joints, and we took those cuttings and we put 1 in each of those waters. 1 said, I love you. 1 said, thank you. 1 said, I hate you. And 1 said, I will kill you. We put the 4 of them up in the same windowsill. I love you and thank you on one side. I hate you and I'll kill you on the other side. What do you think happened?
2 got better and 2 died.
Well, nothing happened the first day. But at about 2 weeks, we started seeing wilting on the I hate you and I'll kill you. Until at the end of 3 months, they were nothing but stems just sitting there. Now, but what surprised me was, thank you rooted. I love you did not get roots. It stayed green, but didn't get roots. Well, thank you did. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. And then it was done. We did this hypothesis. We put it all together. And my wife was getting ready to, took them out of the window, was going to just trash them until one of her friends, no, take those to the expo, the science fair. Well, she put them back up in the window. Well, the one that said, I'll kill you, started turning green again. I thought, well, why did that happen? This is not a good experiment. Until I realized she had said it next to thank you, the one who agreed. But now why did thank you do so much better with roots than I love you? Because I love you protected thank you from the other 2 because it stood between them. So it was really interesting to see what happened. So love brought 1 back from the dead, basically. But when they were separated far apart, like you said, Roselle, 2 died and 2 lived. So I often think about these guys who write hate, on their arms or some of these things with these tattoos. Usually those are the ones that are what we see in prison. You don't see a lot of ones with hate walking around out there, or at least that people love and like, and well, their mother, of course, but other than that. So any question about that? Any comments about that?
Nothing other than writing and on the cup.
Well, she wrote it on a piece of paper and taped that to the cup. That's it. It was the intent. Keep in mind, this whole video is about quantum physics. What's between you and I, Jim?
Air.
Air. Yeah, but you can't really see it. It doesn't stop me when I come to you. But can it?
Sure. Yeah.
If you do what? If you give it more energy. And if it's angry energy, now we got a hurricane or a tornado, and it can do a lot of damage. So those are the things that we have to think about in our own thoughts. We can create our own tornadoes. We can create our own hurricanes through our thought, and those are the way we respond to other people. But what's even worse is how we respond to ourselves. And we see that every day now, especially with Facebook and Instagram, people who do things to themselves because they have convinced themselves of what? They are not worthy. They are not worthy. So those are some of the things that you want to be thinking about as we look at this. Now, what I would like for you to do is to get out that sheet of paper that I gave you that had the little man, front and back, 6 pages. First one is, that's it. You had it in your hand.
No, I think
That,
this.
that's it.
Oh, okay.
Hold it up. Show them what we're looking for. Yeah, just the one. All right, good. So I put this together because I teach people how to be hypnotists, and so I had to get rid of all their cruddy thinking about going into business for themselves and how to do a business. So, but it works in any situation. So what you're going to do with it now, as we walk through it, you're going to write some stuff in it. Okay, before we go to what I was actually going to show you, we'll look at this real quick. We went over this last night, but I want to go back through just very shortly what the limbic system is. And these are the major glands of the limbic system. Remember that the amygdala, the red one there, what it does is it filters what comes from outside your body. And it filters it according to your past experiences. So if you see a snake and you've been taught to be afraid of it, because we're not born afraid of snakes, but you've been taught to be afraid of snakes, the amygdala then is going to send a major message to the hypothalamus, which then alerts the pituitary gland, which then alerts the adrenal gland. That's called the HPA axis, a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And what that does is, now you've got adrenaline and cortisol flowing through your body. You start getting angry, you start getting nervous, you start getting afraid, and that's taken over. Now, in most incidents, what should happen is once that danger goes away, as a matter of fact, do this. Go ahead and close your eyes. Y'all are doing good. You've already started responding to suggestions very well. I'd like you to just imagine or pretend that you're a little old bunny rabbit and you're out in the field just munching down on clover. Oh, it's good stuff. But all of a sudden you sense danger. It could be a coyote, it could be a fox, it could be a man. And when that happens, you quit digesting that clover, you quit eating. As a matter of fact, all the blood, well, not all the blood, but the majority of the blood that's in your alimentary tract, in your intestinal tract, now moves from there and any other areas of your body that's not needed for survival. It moves out into the big muscles of your arm, of that bunny's legs. And now when that danger goes away, that blood moves back into the intestinal tract, and that bunny goes back as if nothing had ever happened, back to its normal state, and it's eating and feeling good. Now pretend that that's a human bunny. That's you. You're that human bunny. Same thing happens. Here you sense the danger. That blood moves out of your intestinal tract, out of the areas of your body that's not needed for survival. Goes to your arms, goes to your legs, the big muscles, so you can run, so you can fight, but the danger goes away. But see, you have a brain and you think. You have a conscious mind, so you start thinking, well, what if it didn't really go away and I just thought it went away? What if it went to get my family? What if it comes back? So therefore, that blood never all goes back into the intestinal tract or other areas that are not needed for survival. So your cortisol levels, your adrenal levels stay up. You can open your eyes now. Does that make any sense? Because that's how it happens. That's why people who have gastroenterology problems is from stress. That's also why people who have problems with their skin, again, from stress, because the blood don't go to your skin. Matter of fact, it gets away as far away from your skin as it can, so if you get cut or something, you don't bleed. That's why it goes deep. You have to be a deep cut. And even with that, it constricts your blood vessels so they don't bleed. That's why people get an arm chopped off, don't bleed to death. But the point is, it has to do with thought. You can then change, okay, I'm happy, everything's good, I'm going to go back to doing what I want to do. That cortisol level and the adrenaline goes down. If it stays up, that is the cause of, I told you that the other night. Can you think about what some things it caused by having constantly high cortisol levels? Cancer. That's a new one. They're also now saying if you had a major stressful event about 18 months ago, chances are fairly high you may then show signs of cancer now. Everybody's got the cancer cells already. It's just when we have a major stress, our immune system's not working, so it gives them the opportunity to start doing things that normally they wouldn't be able to do. Arthritis, inflammation is another one. Lupus, an autoimmune disease. So a lot of any autoimmune disease is basically based on stress. You control your stress and you can control those situations. So how do you control your stress? Well, one way is what we're talking about, self-hypnosis, meditation. You've got to take yourself away from the stressful event, either mentally or physically. So you just take time out for yourself. You need to take time out for yourself a couple of times a day. It can be 30 seconds, it can be 15, 20, 30 minutes, but just taking that time. And always take that time as you're falling to sleep at night. That is the perfect time to say, I am relaxed, I am calm, and I'm asleep or I'm at peace. But a word is not enough. What do the Chinese say about words? They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. You got the limbic system, the subconscious mind, works in images, not just in words. So what you want to do is for you to have the feelings that you want to have is you want to think in images. And we do that a lot. I mean, we can see something really bad and make us want to puke, or hey, it's getting that time of year, we're going to be walking down the store. I remember when I was a kid, man, we could not wait for the Sears and Roebuck catalog and the JCPenney catalog because they had the toys. I mean, everything we saw. How many of you ever had kids? You know, don't you, as soon as it's time, I want that, I want that. Every Saturday morning, the cartoons, I want one of them, I want one of them. What they see is what they want. So that's the thing. So I'm going to very quickly go through these others again, that the pituitary gland we've already talked about, and the pituitary gland basically is the master gland because it has the growth hormone, but it also is the master gland because it sends out messages to protect us by getting the stress hormones or the protective hormones out. And then, of course, then there's the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is one that works on things that we've experienced, and by working on things that we've experienced, if we think about something, then we will have the same response that we've had before. You saw that in the video a couple of nights ago. You know, the guy's kind of sneaking a look, and all of a sudden all these proteins go into every cell, every one of those receptor sites. It's like a smoker. What goes into the receptor site? Well, nicotine stimulates dopamine from the brain. Dopamine goes into that receptor site, and whoo, man, this feels good. I get a buzz. That drug Chantix, the reason it came out, it was like a synthetic dopamine. So if you take the Chantix, then you get the same feeling without having to take the nicotine. But then what did they find out? Didn't work so well, did it? It took twice as much to work, and then people started doing what? Started killing themselves. No, we had a lot of suicides from that drug. That's why it kind of just went off for a long time until they went back and reevaluated how to use it. So just something to think about. And then, of course, the hippocampus it controls where memories are stored. It doesn't store the memories, but it stores them in other parts of the brain. And it's really funny because they were doing some of this research, and they'd go in and they could just tweak a little part of the brain, and somebody just automatically say apple pie. Or they'd say high school, or remember a song. Let me tell you something that will access your subconscious mind really quick. You were in high school. Now, when I was in high school, we didn't have all them gadgets. Man, when the transistor radio came out, we were in high heaven, man. And then we got the boombox. But think about it. If you're riding down the road now and you're listening to some Goldie oldies, some of us, not all of us, And all of a sudden, all of those songs are playing, but there was one song that just all of a sudden you start wanting to sing along with. You feel it because it did what? It created a memory of something that happened when you were in high school. When I want to remember something in high school, I just have to remember, okay, what year did this happen? I just got to remember what the song was. And that's how I adjust. My wife say, well, how'd you know that? I says, because I listen to real songs. I didn't listen to Sleeping Double in a Single Bed, that kind of stuff. You know, that's what she likes, that country music, telling a story. But the point is, that is accessing your subconscious. And it can do it in two ways. It can be a very happy way, or it can also be the song that your girl told you that night, okay, honey, we're done. I got another boyfriend. Now, it's not a happy. So you have to look at it from, how do you want to respond? Hey, man, that was a good thing because I wouldn't have the woman I got now if I'd have kept that. So those are the things you look at. So that is a part of your subconscious mind. Candace Pert, biological researcher, and you saw her in the video. She's the one that said each cell is a sentient being and has thousands of receptor sites. She says the body is your subconscious mind, because does your body respond when you have a happy thought? Yeah, it makes you want to dance, you know. Does it respond when you have a sad thought? Make you want to cry. Can other people affect that in you? If you let them. And we have a tendency to get down on ourselves, and somebody can just say the simplest little thing. Well, what's the matter with you today? And you thought you were feeling great, and all of a sudden you don't. So those are the things. That's like I walk in and Lena's okay. Were you mean to him last night? That's the first thing she said to me. Were you mean to him last night? Not like I am to you. All right, so self-hypnosis. Let's look at what's going on right here. So if we want to do self-hypnosis, one of the things that we've got to do is whatever we want to change about ourselves, we've got to be able to do what? We've got to have buy-in. Now, did you have buy-in to be in this class starting on Tuesday? Sure you did. I mean, you had a lot of buy-in.
Said a couple of ways.
Yeah, well, many ways, actually, and I was going to say that, Jim, because, you know, okay, you pay a fee to be here so that we can cover the stuff I hand out, part of it. But the other thing is you also had to take time out of your life, which is valuable. 6 hours. For some of you, that's a day's work. For some of you, you'd like to have that much work, you know. But the point is, you have a big buy-in because you can. But what does it say here? It says, yes, I can. So you've got the buy-in to be here, but you've got to believe that what you come here to get is there for you. But you also got to know what you're looking for. That's why we spent most of the first night letting you understand what is hypnosis. One of the first guys I ever did that was a smoker. We're in the office. We walk out. I'm right behind him because it's my last guy of the day. If I told you this already, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you again anyway. But we get out in the parking lot, and he reaches in his pocket, takes out his cigarettes, and starts smoking one. So I just asked him, I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm seeing if this works. And I mean, it's what he said. I couldn't have planned it any better. He was thinking that because he had hypnosis, zap, there's no way you could ever have another cigarette, that when he tried to bring it up to his mouth, there's going to be this invisible hand there, and he couldn't do it. Because he probably saw something like that on TV. Now, can that really happen? Believe it or not, it can. But to such a small percentage of the population that believes that that's what's going to happen. That's why people can have surgery. I mean, I'm not talking about, you know, a little clip on the hand like I did the other day. I'm talking about opening them up and having surgery. That was, who was it, Barbara? You talking about somebody going? Who was it talking about somebody going to the dentist and not having to use anything? When I go to the dentist, I use an aid. I use an aid for hypnosis. I use this thing right here. It's just called a brain optimizer, but I put it on for two reasons. Number one, I can play my hypnosis music. I've got lights, but the dentist don't talk to me. At least he's not supposed to. Last time he did. He reached over. Now he's on my right side. He reaches over to my left ear and pulls out my headphone and starts talking to me. I says, Doctor, I said his name. How many years have you known me? Well, since the 70s. And I said, and you also know I ain't been able to hear out of that ear for a long time. So I don't know where he was coming from. So you got to buy in, and that buy-in is whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to get rid of anger, whether you want to stop smoking, whatever it is you want to do, whether or not you want to quit having discomfort. And it goes back to what's in that book by Coué, Emile Coué, is what you say is what you're going to get. If you get up every morning and say, oh man, I don't know if I can make it today. God, my hips hurt, my legs hurt, my feet hurt, man, I've got a headache. Okay. You just had buy-in to the opposite side where you want to be. Man, God, I don't want to go to work today. I just don't know if I can, whoever my workmate is, I don't know if I can put up with that person today or not. And we've all had somebody that we've worked with. Man, you just dread going in because you know you got to deal with them. And what are you doing? All the way to work, you're in what? You're in hypnosis. Because your conscious mind, your subconscious mind keeps you between the white lines, keeps you from running in first, while your subconscious mind is doing what? It's feeding the subconscious mind all the bad stuff you don't want. A lot of people get divorced driving to work, driving home. A lot of people get married driving to work and driving home. People get better jobs. They get raises because they're thinking of what they want instead of ruminating on the things that are bad in their life. Your body responds to every thought you've got. You saw that yesterday or day before in the video. So now, our self-confidence. We've got to know that we can do what we want to do. So I want you now to take out that sheet of paper that says basic on it where you wrote down the issue that you're here for. And then I didn't go into it on the self-confidence one because it's pretty obvious that you've got your buy-in, at least from the fact that you're willing to learn how, but what is your buy-in to actually change? Change is not easy. And there's a lot of people out there that get married thinking, well, he'll change once I marry her. She'll change once I marry her. So let's look now. We've got this. Look at what your issue is. Do you have the buy-in to let that issue go? Are you willing to move over here and say the right statements? And two, expect and have the right why. Why do I want to let go of my depression? Why do I want to let go of, why am I willing? Not want to, because want to can be 10 years from now. When somebody comes to me to quit smoking, Lena is supposed to say, do you want to quit? Or have you decided to quit? Wanting to quit is any time between now and the time you die. That's the future. Deciding is today. So once you make the decision, all this stuff right here, this buy-ins, now it's starting to get activated. So when we do that, what do? Now we go to the motivation. So look at that page and write down what is your motivation now for that issue that you put on the other paper. And at the same time, look under that issue and see what are you doing about it now. And if you're not doing anything, then you need to write down under motivation, what is it you expect to get. This is how you know how to work and how to deal with yourself. So, I had to fill this out for something I wanted to do. And I was motivated. I had to go to New York City. I had to go up there and I had to stay 9 days. And I wasn't making much money in those days. It was expensive. The course was over $2,000, let alone having to go and fly and stay and live and all of that. So I knew I had buy-in. All I had to have was my wife to say it's okay. So what was my motivation? My motivation at that time was to get something I wanted. I wanted a different career. That was my motivation. Now, self-perception. Go back to that basic page and look at how do you see yourself. It says right there, how do you feel? How do you look? How do you see yourself in that situation you're in? Now what you've got to do is to take that and turn it around. What would it look like if it was what I want, not what I don't want? Because what you're seeing right here is this guy is seeing himself. Now I put this together for people who take my hypnosis course, but what he's seeing is he's seeing himself having achieved it. At least he started. He sees himself as having his business. Now the next one is what you've got to look at. Now he sees himself as other people seeing him as having his business. And the words are hypnosis works for weight pain, sports stress, and even more. But the point is, you can't just let yourself believe you can be that, but now you've got to believe that other people will come to you. People will see you. People will trust you in what you do. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be your regular job and how you want your supervisor to see you, or how you as a supervisor want to see the people under you. But now here's the biggie, and this is where you've got to spend some time with yourself. What are the obstacles and what are the temptations that are going to get in your way of achieving your goal? Because the whole thing here is to have buy-in in order to get to the goal. And we haven't even talked about what the goal is yet. Probably should have started on the goal and then come back here. Now, I had some major obstacles and some major temptations when I did this. I love movies. I love television. Gosh, I was going to have to give up some TV. Matter of fact, I just redid this because we're working on, I've got about 6 or 8 books that I've started. And I go home and NCIS is on, so I don't work on my book. You know, so the other day we sat down and said, okay, little time for some self-hypnosis. You will, an hour each day, work on at least one of those books. So that's how I work with stuff. I come in here, I come in an hour early. I get here about 7. And I've got 7 to 9 that I'm not interrupted, except from people from England. They like to call that time of day and do that kind of stuff. Okay. So what are your obstacles? Write down your obstacles. What is it that gets in your way? It may just be your belief in yourself. What gets in your way if you're wanting to lose weight? Oh man, I sure do like my desserts. Well, that's fine. Don't give anything up. If you're wanting to lose weight, do not give up any food you like. Once you do that, you're dead in the water. Because you start thinking about, never punish yourself in order to get something that you want. Because we all know, hey, if you're eating 3 hot dogs at lunch, eat 2.5 or 2. If you're eating a pie after every meal, cut it in half. Do not go, though, to the ones that say light, because they just put more sugar. Don't worry about fats. All you got to do is start saying to yourself, fruits and vegetables are just as enjoyable to me as the old ice cream used to be. Okay? Or eat less. It's simple. Don't give up foods just because, well, I'm going to have to quit eating my desserts. Well, I guess I've had my last chocolate bar. Well, if you like those big old Hershey's with almonds, go buy the ones that are just little and then have 2 or 3 during the day instead of just one and gobble it all down. Enjoy it. So what are your obstacles? What are your temptations? What is getting you in the way of what you want to happen on that basic, that issue? Well, I would like to be less depressed. Oh, Phil, remember I told you about Phil and Gina when I went in on their TV show? Did I tell you that one? I didn't tell you about Phil and Gina? You know who Phil is, right? He's on every afternoon now. Well, they called me up when I first set up my practice. They wanted me to come in and be on their show as a hypnotist because they'd never had a hypnotist on their show before. So he says, now Ron, when you come in here, I want you to have Gina bark like a dog. And I says, now I know good and well he's not heard that story because I just retired and moved here. But I said, now Phil, I don't do that. I'm not into stage hypnosis. I'm a clinical hypnotist. I've had some funny things happen, I can tell you, but I'm not into that. He said, okay, come on in. 6 o'clock in the morning, I got to be there. I walk in and there's Phil. Console between us. Here's Gina and here's the guy who spends most of his time out there doing the weather, doing the traffic, all that. And Phil looks at me, and here is Ron S. Finger. He's our hypnotist today, and he's going to have Gina bark like a dog. Now what do? Well, I just said, after I'd given him the evil eye, I did. I wanted to just run down his throat. So I just looked over at Gina and I said, Gina, do you even own a dog? And she says, yeah. And I says, now what kind is it? I am the luckiest guy that ever lived. Because she gave me the name of some dog I'd never heard of. And I says, well, Gina, I never even heard of that dog. I wonder if anybody else out there has. Well, does it bark? She says, yeah. And I said, what does it sound like? She goes, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." I said, now, Phil, what else do you want me to do? Now, here's the beauty of that. They actually brought me back on 2 weeks later because they got so many phone calls over that. And we did some other stuff later that was more clinical. But Gina was going to have LASIK surgery, and she was scared to death to go in and do that. So he brought me on the show to work with her to go have her LASIK surgery, and she did great. So out of that, I want you to be funny, came a let's get serious. And it worked out really, really well for me. That's when my office was in Oak Ridge. All right, obstacles and temptation. Anybody want to share an obstacle or a temptation? You don't have to until I call on you. Yeah, Jack. I'm sorry?
Getting on schedule to do the repetitions.
Okay, so you saw getting on schedule to do this new self-hypnosis?
Right.
Well, there's only one way that I know to do that for me, because I have been told by everybody in this office and my wife that I spend more time trying to be organized than I ever get organized. However, I also have a plan that I learned years ago, and you've heard it yourself. If I write something down on the pad the night before, the next day when I come in here, I start checking off what I do. So therefore, if I want to have something on schedule, I've got to put it on my calendar. Because there's been many a times I had plans on doing something, and I get in bed at night, and what did I say? Oh man, I forgot to do my push-ups. I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. But if it's on your calendar, then all you got to do is, okay, that's done. So does that make sense? Sometimes it's the simplest thing to move you into the direction you want to go. Now the buy-in for that is what? You got to put on your schedule to make your schedule. So that's something you either decide, okay, first thing in the morning, I'm going to do. Before I leave here in the evenings, I will write down the things I've got to do the next day, because it gets to be chaos here. We get so many phone calls. It's like, well, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to that person. You need to do this. You need to do that. The next thing I know, if it's not on my schedule, it's also not in my mind. It's out of my mind because, first of all, I can only do one thing at a time. I know that about me, everybody up here. If I'm doing one thing, definitely don't hand me something or we'll spend the next hour looking for it because I'll let down some more. So those are the obstacles that I came over that same obstacle by. I write it down. Now, on my daily calendar, I have things that I do every day. So it pops up on my Yahoo or my Outlook calendar. It'll just pop up. Okay, Ron, you got to do this at this time. You know, you do that for a doctor's appointment. I go to Rotary every week, and if I don't have it popping up, man, I get involved in stuff. And oh, man, I missed Rotary today. Well, we all go to lunch together, so they find that's their only day they don't have to eat with me, so they always remind me, aren't you going to eat Rotary today? So those are the things. So anybody else got an obstacle? Does that help? Would that help to do that? Now you just got to remember to do it. Now, you make that a habit. That becomes a good behavior. Your thoughts are, I'm going to keep everything on schedule. Anybody else got anything they would like to share? Not you, Carol?
Well, I can, yes. I have problems sleeping and like that.
Okay, let's start with this. Because my first thing is do you want to have a problem sleeping?
No.
Then quit saying it. Now, and I don't say that to be mean. What I'm saying is that's what we're all saying. You tell all your friends, man, I just can't sleep at night. Or you go to bed and you start thinking, I'm just not going to be able to go to sleep. And then if you're like a person who's got a job, you start thinking after a little while, I can't sleep, I can't go to sleep. And then you're saying, now, if I go to sleep, I'm going to oversleep. So you start worrying about that. And then you start thinking, gosh, man, it's late. If I go to sleep, I'm probably not going to be able to function at work tomorrow. So we start telling ourselves all of these things. So now what are we working with? The hypothalamus. So one of the things you've got to do with your sleeping process is train over a period of time. It takes about 21 days to start these processes and then become a part of who you are. So what you want to do with that is instead of saying, I'm having trouble sleeping, says, I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping better.
I'm your person.
Well, the next thing you do with that, when you go to bed, you sit there and you start with this. Rather than saying every day and every way I'm better and better, you start saying, I'm relaxed, I am calm, I am what? Asleep. Remember, the subconscious mind only does what? It maintains what you tell it you are. If you say, I'm going to sleep, We don't know what day that is, what week that is, what year that is, so you don't want to be up that long. But you've already created a habit of going to sleep probably at a certain time of night, but it's after you spend those saying, I can't go to sleep, and then you get so tired you fall asleep. So, I am relaxed, I am calm, I am asleep. Now, if you've got discomfort, I am relaxed, I am comfortable, I am asleep. Now, we had a conversation earlier about the Chinese. So to say I am relaxed, I am calm, I am asleep, what's the value? 1,000th as strong as if I am relaxed. What do you look like when you're relaxed? We did a little bit of that on Tuesday. I am calm or I am comfortable. What does comfortable look like? I'm laying here. What does I am asleep look like? What do you look like when you're asleep? You can imagine you're just watching yourself on TV being asleep. Now, these are very simple things. But unfortunately, it's like a lot of stuff, but it's not a pill, so it probably won't work. But the thing about it is, a lot of people have problems with believing that words are the most powerful what? Pharmacy out there. We heard that night before last. And Mark Twain said it this way, he said, the difference in words is the difference in lightning and a lightning bug. So therefore you have to be careful of what words you use in order to get the effect you want. So every word that you want has got to have a picture. Now, what you've been seeing and what you've been saying, man, I just can't go to sleep. And then you start having an excuse, well, it's my age. Well, I'll make sure, got to have caffeine, lack of, decaffeinated coffee, but that better be before 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So you also start adding to that, this is what I'm going to drink, what I'm going to eat, and stop at these times so I don't have stimulants in my body. That becomes a part of this thing that John talked about, which is creating a schedule for yourself. What is your nighttime ritual for bed? What time do you go to bed at night?
11.
Every night, somewhere close to 11?
Plus or minus.
Okay, plus or minus 2 hours, plus or minus 2 minutes, what?
Plus or minus an hour.
Okay, you need to get closer to a half hour within those. Let your body get in that rhythm, because an hour, plus or minus an hour, that's 2 hours. One before and one after. So start thinking about starting your bed ritual at a certain time, and then making sure you stay within a half an hour of when you're going to go to bed. Knowing that there's always going to be times that you may be up real late for whatever happens, but this is your normal new ritual for going to bed. Going through the same thing, brushing your teeth the same way, doing this the same way, doing this the same way before you go to bed. No news at night. Okay. No TV in the bed.
I need to hypnotize my bladder too.
Well, that has a little bit to do with the caffeine and how much, and when you have your last fluids also, doesn't it? Okay. But see, the point is, all right, so I've got to get up and go to the restroom. That's okay. As long as you train yourself that when you go back to bed, you go back to sleep, and you don't just lay there and think about what you got to do the next day. So you've got to let those things go. Now, so we've got to let go of those temptations, those obstacles. Only you can do that. Or you can go to a doctor and say, give me a pill. And that's not going to, they already know that most of those don't even work. And they do a 30-second commercial. It's a 2-minute commercial, but 30 seconds is about the benefits, a minute and a half about how it's going to kill you if you're not careful. And you know that. Okay, moving on now to the next. And at the break or after we finish up today, if you want to ask me, or if you even want to call me or email me, hey, this is what my problem is, what would I do? I don't mind you doing that. You're better off to email me, though, and set up a time to talk to me rather than to call, because everybody here, there's a rule. Well, usually I'm with a client or I'm doing something, and then it becomes phone type. But if you email me and tell me give me 2 or 3 times you're available, then I'll email you back and say I'm happy to talk to you, and that way we're talking. Also, I know what it is, and I'm prepared. Yes, Donna?
Didn't your job kind of weave in between being a hypnotist and being a therapist?
Depends on how you want to look at it. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. Because I do listen to a lot of stuff, but what I don't do, except for one time I just said, get a divorce and leave it alone, you know? And she did. I didn't say it that way, but she told me that. But the point is I listen, and I will make stories about maybe the water. I use that kind of a thing. I never say, do this or do that. Now, I will say, all right, tonight, this is what you need to practice with your hypnosis, just like I do here. But hypnotherapy, basically, according to all the psychology, doesn't exist. It's not a therapy. You can have therapy in hypnosis, but hypnosis within itself is not a therapy. And if all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and they will only accept the suggestions they want to take, then there's not a whole lot I can do. But a lot of people are waiting for somebody else to tell them what to do. So you have to be careful there of, you know, here's your options. Here's your options, and only you can choose those options. I send a lot of people to family therapy. I've never even met their spouse, but I know they need family therapy just from the things they say. So those are things that you look at. But you're right. And what you have to be careful about is I'm smart enough to know what my limitations are and what I can do. But I'm also a licensed independent provider in the state of Tennessee, so I really don't get in trouble with that because I'm already considered. Within being a nurse, it also says counseling is a part of what you do. So I'm okay there. It's just making sure people who don't have any professional credentials stay within their limitations of what they're able to do. Now we're going to reach the goal. He's opened his office. His wellness center is ready. He's seen it. He's gotten trained for it. He's got it open. I'm going to tell you what my goal was. My goal was, I did this when I went to become a certified instructor to teach hypnosis. So I could teach other people for the National Guild. What I had on this one right here, I just wanted to be number one. I wanted to be the best. And that's what I put up there. And I was totally not ashamed to say it. I want to be the number one instructor that you have. The only reason I haven't gotten it more than I have because they're only supposed to give it to you once. They made a mistake and gave it to me twice, then they gave it to me another time. So I did it. I reached that goal. Now, does it mean I'm that good? No, it's just a lot of other people out there that aren't as good. And you're sitting there so you can tell. But it's because I'm knowledgeable. I had a discussion last night as I'm doing this class for this Massachusetts group. It's 15 people. We use Skype. And the first thing I said was, they're all hypnotists. And they want me to talk to them. I says, what I need you to do the first thing is, I need you to take out a pen, take out a piece of paper, and write down the books that you have on hypnosis. Now, they're hypnotists. Now, if you get to my office, you're looking at, matter of fact, she put them all down the other day, 1,200 books maybe just on hypnosis. And I read them. I look at them. I use them. Matter of fact, these books over here, they're written in the 1800s. I read those too. But the point I want to make is, when you make that decision, you can reach that goal. I wasn't a speaker. I didn't take Toastmasters till I moved here. And definitely where I was at, they couldn't understand me. I speak East Tennessean. I'm up north. So those are the things to be thinking about. What do you want that goal to be? If you want to be a quit smoker, then you put down, on this day or today, I've quit. If I want to take off so many pounds, a safe weight loss is going to be between 2 and 10 pounds a month, then you decide at what month am I going to do. The problem is, it took you all these years to put the weight on. And then we keep saying, well, I'm going to get this off one day. But then we don't put it on our schedule. When people come to me for weight loss, there are two things they're not allowed to do. One, they're not allowed to exercise. Well, it don't work. Two, they're not allowed to go on a diet. Whoa, that's what they've always done in the past. It didn't work, did it? So what do you think I have them do? I kind of kidded around with some of you that came in early about that. Do you remember what it was, Jim?
No.
I say you're going to increase your activity.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to eat whatever you want, but you're going to eat it in smaller amounts, and you're going to eat 3 times more often. In other words, you're going to eat 6 times a day instead of 2 to 3 times a day. And so by doing that, they keep the blood sugars level. The stomach starts doing its own virtual banding because it starts shrinking because you're not keep pushing it out. And so you start filling up faster. And then you find out if you're eating more fruits and vegetables, you're getting better carbohydrates. You got a lot more energy and you don't have these swings. So for those of you who are looking at weight, then that's what you've got to do. Is those are the visions you see yourself with. Okay, I'm going to walk 20 minutes a day. That's 1 pound a month. That's 12 pounds a year. I'm going to drink half my body weight in ounces of water every day. So if you're 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water. Well, that's another pound a month. Now we just lost 24 pounds that year. Well, but I wanted to lose 35, but we only hit 2 things. Now you're going to leave off a cookie a day. A cookie a day is another pound a month. That's 36 pounds in a year. And we haven't even gotten to eating breakfast. Be sure you eat breakfast. If you eat breakfast, then guess what? You'll not gain 1 pound a year. Well, that's 10 pounds in 10 years. Not a lot, but it also helps keep that energy level, that insulin level, sugar levels even, so you're not craving foods at the end of the day. And now, so let's say, okay, you walk 20 minutes. Well, lose 2 pounds a month, walk 40 minutes. But where you want to walk is where it's comfortable, relaxing with nature, so that you're not stressed. Because if you're stressed, there's 2 foods you're going to start craving. What are they? Huh? Chocolate, meaning sugar. And the other one? No, salt. Sugar and salt. Boy, they complement each other so good, don't they? One of my bosses one time was having some kind of, he got promoted or something. Anyway, he's having a little get-together. And he served 2 foods. And I'd never seen this before because I'm from East Tennessee and he was from somewhere up north. Cake, potato chips. I thought, why in the world would anybody do? My wife and I were snickering about it over in the corner. So, okay, he's my boss, I've got to eat this. And I thought, wow, man. Now every time we have cake, we have potato chips. Because they complement each other so much. But keep in mind that if you're starting to crave salts and sugars, because you've got to have sugar for what if you're in fight or flight? Energy. You've got to be able to run. You've got to be able to fight. What's the salt for? Why would you crave salt? The sodium in the salt is what your muscles have to contract. So without the sodium, you're not going to have, and to complement that energy, you're not going to be able to run like you need to run, not going to be able to fight like you need to fight. Of course, it's easier sometimes just freeze, but that doesn't do a whole lot for you. That's got to be real panic, okay? So, what we've done at this particular point is looked at where you're going. So now look at your goal sheet. It's what you put down, the buy-in for what you want to achieve. Now this is not for just anything. You can do this for anything you want to, but right now it's for what you came here for. And you got to choose, if it's like a couple of you that put down 3, 4, 5 things, pick one. Now when I gave you your going away gift tonight, I chose the one you put down first. I figured if you put it down first, that must be your priority. So that was what I chose, okay? So now, look at that. That's your buy-in. What do you want to accomplish? Number 2, what do you want to accomplish in that? Very important. Because, you know, if you want to look better so you feel better, or if you want your spouse to look at you in a different way, or a lot of the people that I got that were divorced, it was because they came to lose weight because now they needed to get back out on the market. You know, I've got to look good again. Well, maybe you should have done that before you got your divorce and you wouldn't be divorced. But I don't tell them that. I'm nice to them. I'm real nice to them. So the other part of that is now you've got to see yourself as having already accomplished it. If you're a smoker and you want to quit, then you've got to see yourself getting up in the morning and going to those places which you normally had your cigarette, your coffee, your cigarette. Hey man, I'm having my coffee, but guess what? That's all I'm having. When you go out on the breaks, we're going to do a little technique here which I do with my smokers that will actually stimulate the release of dopamine and morphine in your body. You're going to like it. You're going to like it. We're going to do it right before we take the break here in a few minutes, all right? So, The next one is you've got to imagine or pretend that other people see you the way you want to see yourself. Because then you will respond to them as if that's how you are, and they will respond back to you in kind. So it makes it easier to get through the next one. What's the next one? Obstacles and temptations. What is it that you've got to do to make a change? Jack had it figured out. Hey, it's my scheduling. Well, then write it down every day so you know that this time. Now, if you can't do it exact, then what you've got to do is you can say, okay, there's no way, even though I'd like to do this at 1:45 every day, I can't. So say every day between 1:30 and 2 o'clock, I'm going to do this. But now you've got to stick to it because you can't let it go past the 2 o'clock mark. There are going to be times that things show up. And you say, okay, now I've got to get back to my schedule. Because there are always things that interfere. I mean, he's retired. We already know things are going to interfere. Because there's things we like to do. At work, it's easier. When you're on a schedule at work, but then you may be one of those people. Now, you said you did insurance, right?
Yep.
So sometimes those people don't have a real strong schedule. What they have is the appointments that they've made, right? So you know to keep them, right?
Yep.
And you write them down, so what?
So I don't forget them.
Oh, you don't forget them. So now you're going to do the same thing for whatever it is that you want to schedule, which is sitting down and taking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just setting aside a time. Say, okay, I'm going to listen to this CD. If you got a good computer, you can make your own CD too. But put a picture with what you're looking at. Very, very important. Thinks in images. And then, of course, the last one is, what is it that you want to accomplish? So, by staying on schedule, and you don't have to answer this, but by staying on schedule, and doing your mantras, your affirmations, what is it that you accomplish with that? What's your goal? What do you win?
I access my subconscious.
And by accessing your subconscious, what does that do for you?
You can change your behavior.
Change your behavior. Right. And how often during the day are you already in your subconscious?
98%.
98%, according to the research. Okay. But now, so what does that mean? That means most of us are negative. So we have 98% of the day that we're feeding our subconscious with what? What we don't want. As I said to Carol, well, if you're having trouble sleeping, quit saying you're having trouble sleeping. I used to say that at home all the time till I got knocked upside the head with a 2x4. You say that to me one more time. But I have to do that with myself too. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I have to stop. I think, okay, you can't talk that way. You can't think that way. And I've got plenty of people here that if I say just the wrong thing, they say, go listen to a CD. That's what I hear. Go listen to a CD. And would you make me a CD that says so-and-so? Sure, why not? Now, we're going to now create a positive affirmation which is a little bit different than the mantra of I'm relaxed, I'm calm, and I'm at peace. That's on the yellowish paper that I gave you. Or, yeah, it says, what are you doing handing out cardstock to these people? She says, I forgot to order red paper. Well, did you forget to order yellow paper too? Or orange paper too?
What's step 2?
Now, see? I planned that. Because now you're going to listen when I tell you the simplicity, because it goes right back to what John's been talking about. Step 2, find twice a day, 3 to 5 minutes, and all you do is in that 3 to 5 minutes is this. Put everything aside. Put everything aside. Now, oh boy, it's going to be so much fun. Now close your eyes. Take the breath that you've learned to take. I'll hand this out to you. You don't have to write it down. Take the breath you've learned to take. And now start with the number 25 in your mind.
We're doing it right now. I'm sorry.
No, we did it yesterday. You're doing it now.
Yeah.
Close your
I'm
eyes.
not at all surprised.
Okay. I'll hand this out to you so you'll have it. But all you're going to do is start with the number 25 and count backwards to 1. Close your eyes. 25, 24. With each breath, just see, don't say it out loud, just say it to yourself. See the numbers roll by. And then when you get to the number 1, you're going to count back up to 3. And then open your eyes. It should take about 2.5 to 3 minutes to do that. You're not thinking anything, you're just doing the counting. You're closing your mind off to everything else except those numbers. Should be getting pretty close to finishing up now. You're not thinking anything, you're just counting the numbers. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. The whole purpose of that is to teach you how to focus inward and to do something that takes about 3 minutes. It's a timing thing. Once you learn how to do that, then we're going to take the next step. And the next step is writing that affirmation. And that affirmation has to have 6 parts. When we come back from the break, or while we're at the, actually we got 5 minutes before the break. So why don't we do this? Take out that sheet of paper, and you're going to write an affirmation on that paper that's on your clipboard. Now, it is explained in that orange paper that I sent you home with, so that you'll know what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to have. So write that on your clipboard. You've got about right at 5 minutes, 3.5, 4 minutes to do that. And pay attention to what it says you have to be able to do. It's got to be positive. It's got to be simple. It's got to be both realistic and believable for you. It's got to be measurable. And it has to carry a reward, and it has to be in the present tense. So go ahead and write down your affirmation. Do you need an example?
Yes.
Every day, I walk 20 minutes and practice my self-hypnosis so that I look and feel my best. That's a very simple one. Now you've got to make it towards what it is you want to accomplish. This is towards your goal. Positive, simple, present tense, believable and realistic for you, measurable, and carries a reward. This will help you a lot, Jack, because this is where you're going to help put yourself into a schedule. one more minute till we take our break. Of course, you're welcome to work on it during the break if you like. And if anybody would like to write theirs on the whiteboard during the break, we'll let you do that too.
What is measurable again?
What is measurable? If I say that every day I walk 20 minutes, there's two measures there. What are they? Anything you can check off the data points. Every day, I did it today. 20 minutes, I walked 20 minutes. Those are measures. Think about this, but anybody who wants to read theirs when we're done and see about correcting it or getting accolades because it was so good, then we'll be able to do that too. Okay, I'm going to ask this one question, then we're going to break. Is there anybody here that would be willing to write their affirmation on the board? You don't have to. Well, that was what I expected.
I will, because I want to get feedback.
Okay, good. Then we'll let you.
Measurable.
All right, we can do that during the break, and we'll just open the door up so you can do that. All right, let's take a break for, let's come back in about 15 minutes. Go ahead and eat, drink, go take a walk, whatever you need to do to relax. You know where the restrooms are. All right, good question, John. Ask it again.
Okay, on Tuesday we were saying that the subconscious can't tell the difference between a past event and a current event. And a past event will come up and you'll react to it like it just happened yesterday. How do you get the subconscious to let that go and let that feeling and thought dissipate into the past?
Anybody want to take a stab at that? Not literally, just answer the question. Okay, what did the video tell us? You stop that thought. You change the thought to what you want, not to what you got. And you learn how, one of the things that I do in hypnosis is, for people who really having that problem, is I'll have them walk down a passageway. On the left are all the doors to the past, and on the right are the doors to the future. They're just walking straight ahead. Well, they can't open the doors to the future because it don't exist. They can't go there. But in the past, there's two types of past. They're the things you learn from, positive, and then the things that are getting in your way now. So you start shutting the door to those things that are causing you problems. Now what you do is, okay, I need to stop that thought. Now, what thought are you willing to take in to start degrading? Because you have what we call like these events in our brain. In the video, it was a network. Every time you have a thought, you have a new neuron. So when you think of that past event, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And like you said, the subconscious mind, that thought is like when we did this lemon. We know what happened in the past when we ate the lemon. We could feel it. We salivated. For some of us, we really hurt. All right? So that's the same thing. So if I want to stop that feeling I'm getting from this lemon, what do? I think of something else. Maybe I'll think, well, how about some ice cream? Or I really like lemons. But the main thing is think of that as forgiveness. You cut the chain so that past event doesn't control you anymore. You don't forget about it, but you don't let it control you. And that was the thing that a few weeks ago, boy, when my pastor said, finally, Karen, listen. The whole thing was, no, you can't forget. Because my wife said, well, I may forgive, but I'll never forget. But my idea was, if you don't forget, then you've not forgiven. Well, I was wrong. I lived my whole life being wrong, and I couldn't handle it. So he gave me the answer. He said, it just takes the pain out of that memory. And, I've got relatives, they've got this clash going on. It says, you guys are controlling each other and in a very negative way. So think of a thought that you want to get rid of and make it smaller and smaller and smaller. If it was pain, I would say sit the size of a basketball and controlling you. Now, if we want to make it smaller, we could sit the size of what? A volleyball. It's a little bit smaller. Then from the size of a volleyball, what could be the next thing we make it? Softball would take you down pretty fast. Soccer ball and volleyball, I don't know which is bigger and which is smaller, but I do know a softball, now we've really taken some control of it. So now what could we make it? A baseball. Oh, we're going to get to the golf ball. We're not going to go that fast, though. So now we could sit as a baseball. What would be a next one that would be smaller? Tennis ball. And now we're getting close to, if people know what they're like, I do, but a lot of people don't, the size of a handball, or going to the golf ball. Now after we go to a golf ball, there's not very many balls that are smaller, so what can we go to? A marble. And we're going to play with some marbles here in a little while, for the end of the day. And so we can go to a marble. Now what can we make smaller than a marble? A pea. And now smaller than a pea? Well, if it's a boy, you should know. A BB. So we're getting there. Now what can you do with that BB?
Shoot it away.
Flip it away. Well, I had a guy and I says, okay, tell me what you did with that BB. Because I said, just go and do what you want to it. I learned after that, just flip it away. I says, I gave it to my mother-in-law.
Right between the eyes, right?
I tell you, man, you don't have to make any, probably, you don't have to make anything up. It just all comes right out when you're working with people. All right. We've got this up here, and this is going to be based on what you put on this right here. Because we're talking about what is the situation that's our problem. Make sure that that is the problem. I'm going to teach you something tonight that is very simple, very easy, weird, and takes 3 minutes, but I use it with PTSD a lot, and I use it with people who just can't figure out how to handle their problem. John, this may help you. Okay, what am I currently doing? Well, if what you're currently doing isn't working, then you got to think about, okay, what do I need to do to make it work? What would be the opposite of this if this is not working? What are my emotions related to my behavior? Does it make me angry? Does it make me sad? Does it make me unhappy? You know, you've got to figure, okay, what would be the opposite? If it's making you sad, what would be the opposite, Jim?
Glad.
Huh?
Glad.
Glad. What would be another one, Marie? Sandra?
Sad, it just make you happy.
Happy. Happy. Be happy. Abraham Lincoln said, you are only, my favorite quote of all quotes, said, you're only as happy as you make up your mind to be. That's it. You're only as happy as you make up your mind to be. So, what physical symptoms do I have related to my behavior? So, some people, they have upset stomach. Some people may be rashes. They may have blushing. So, there's all kinds of things that can happen because of this problem. Because we know whatever we're thinking, our body is going to try to fix it some way, and it's not always in a positive way. How do I imagine myself relate to my behavior? So if you see yourself, if you want to lose weight, as being overweight, then you're going to be overweight. You've got to see yourself not as you are, but as you want to be. But now we've got a problem. There is no future. So we have to pretend we've already achieved it. If you're depressed, you have to pretend you're happy. But again, how do we do that? We imagine the times we were happy. Be careful. Well, but I'll never be that happy again. That's just me. There's no way that'll come back. Well, but you got to make, your subconscious mind don't know that, so don't let your conscious mind say that. So those are the things that you do in that process. So-and-so makes me angry every time I turn around. Quit turning around. Do something different. Sometimes you have to avoid the problem. Right? Sometimes you just have to, but if you can't avoid it, then you got to come up with some way to be able to accept it. That's about all you can do. I know. I've had problems in my life that I could have killed. I mean, I'm from Cotton County, let's face it. Newport. That's what we do up there. All right. What are my thoughts related to my behavior? Overweight. Well, I got to stop eating. Well, your mind is not going to accept that. That's suicidal. Well, I'm going to have to give up chocolate. Man, I can't give up chocolate. That's my most favorite food. Well, then go ahead and quit eating chocolate once a day. Eat it 6 times a day, but eat a small piece. Just take one of those little, I mean, look at the energy you got to go through to unwrap that little mini. You already used some calories, right? And then if you eat 6 meals a day, that means you're not getting into these dumps. So let's look now at what April has done. I love that name, by the way, April, my birthday month. I'm not going to tell you it's April the 1st, but other than that, every day at least 3 times I am going to feel joyful and in awe of the gift of life. In awe. Whew. I love it. All right, number 1. Is it positive? Anybody say no? Everybody says yes. You're doing good. You're batting 100. Yes. Is it simple? Well, wouldn't be for me because in awe, I just can't make that one happen. But yeah, it is simple. It's written very, very good. 3. Is it in the present tense? How do you know?
Oh, I am going to. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
We got a
So how do I make it?
present participle here. So I am.
I am joyful and in awe.
Oh, why didn't you put in the word feeling? I am joyful.
Yeah.
Now we make it even simpler, right? So I am joyful and in awe of the gift of life. All right. I will go that we now have a present tense. So let's look at, is it measurable?
That's a tough question.
Why is it tough?
Trying to make it.
Well, it's got 3 times a day, but
Okay, so that is, every day is measurable because at the end of the day she can say, yep, I did it, right? Now, let's think Dr. Pepper. Why would he say Dr. Pepper? What is it about that we can make Dr. Pepper? What is Dr. Pepper? 10, 2, and 4. So we take the 10, 2, and 4, and she puts a time each day that she's going to do those 3 things, those 3 times. Huh?
what is 10, 2, and 4? I don't know what that means.
That's because you didn't have Dr. Pepper commercials when you were a kid.
I don't know what it is.
10, 2, and 4 was the times a day you took a break and had a Dr. Pepper. 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Made them drink water.
Did they have water in those days? You couldn't buy water in those days.
But we drank it out of the faucet in the hose.
Isn't that amazing? I remember one of the most amazing things in my life. I said, they're charging for a bottle of water?
Yeah.
They're making you pay for water? More than I'd pay for a Coke? All right, so now she's got to make the decision as how does she want to, this is still measurable, but it's also very easy to not get her 3 in. Well, I need to get I've already missed 1 today, so I don't need no reason to do the other 2. But if she's got it on the clock, if she's got the schedule that John wants over here, now, and it can be okay. If you were going to do this, there's something missing though, but let's go with this. What are you going to do? How do you take 3 times a day and become joyful? What do you do to be joyful?
Remembering a happy time like you were having us do a little while ago.
Would meditate be a good word?
Yeah.
So if she says, every day I meditate 3 times, now we know what she's doing to be joyful. But right now, she says I'm joyful, but she's not done anything to be joyful, right? So now you've got a connection. If I meditate, I'm automatically joyful because that's what I said I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it really good. Now we got to find out if you're wanting to do this so that you feel joyful. Can you describe the times a day that you may not be joyful? Do you know when they are?
When the kids get out of school.
Okay. And what?
3:45
Yeah.
PM.
Okay. What time?
3:45 p.m.
Are you home at 3:15?
Not usually, but
I mean, are you working?
yeah.
All right. What time do you get home?
I try to get home at 3:30.
Okay. Try. When are you going to do that? Try. The subconscious
I'm
doesn't
getting
understand.
home at 3:45.
We know that she works. We know that you're always home before 3:45, right?
Correct.
So now we've got a concrete 3:45. How old are your children?
How old are you?
Yeah. What are their ages?
5 and 7.
I feel sorry for you. All right? But not as bad as I'm going to be when they get to be 14 and 16. Then you can complain when they get to be 14 through 16. All
I've
right.
already had this in place.
Yeah. Okay. Now, but what can she do?
Meditate before they come home.
She's got 10 minutes, and we just did a 3-minute what? 25 to 1, a 3-minute meditation. But now see, What is she feeding herself as we're talking about when the kids come home? That she dreads it. I mean, this is common. This is extremely common. And if you've got kids, you know it's common. Right? Plus, there's something she don't get. From work and children, what does she not get? No downtime. No me time. Everybody needs me time. Anybody here have a phone on an airplane? I mean, inside an airplane, not on it. Okay. What happens when they shut the door and the flight attendant stands up in front of you? What happens? What does she say? Don't jump out? No. She says, buckle your seatbelt, but then the main thing is if the oxygen mask falls out of the ceiling, what do? Put yours on first before you try to help somebody else. You've got to take care of yourself before you can take care of your kids. Now, the key here is finding out how to do that. That's the whole key. So now how do we do that? Well, she's got to figure out sometime to have some downtime. She's got a 5 and 7-year-old. So how about, now this is reaching, but how about having family time? When they get home, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to relax together. I'm going to teach you how to do some things. That's a possibility. One thing that you have to be a little bit careful about, you don't want to plant them in front of a TV for 30 minutes so you can go have your downtime. But there's something that you might be able to do with the kids. Here's what I would suggest. If it was me, and not a good one to say in the middle of the winter, but take the kids and walk with nature. Let them do their little running around while you're just enjoying the flowers and the trees. Again, wrong time of year for that, isn't it? Well, until the poinsettias are gone. But that is something you can do when it is acceptable to do that. So you've got some time. They're not, Mommy, 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 do this, Mommy, can I see this, Mommy, here's what happened today, Mommy, all those kind of things. But you can make plans where, okay, when you get home from school, you need to take a nap. You need to have your milk and cookies. Remember when we went home, we always had milk and cookies? So those are the things, and I come from really in the backwoods, man. We didn't have a bathroom until I was like a senior in high school. So think about, sit down and write down for this. Every day at least 3 times I am going to feel joyful. But now what we've got to do is what? Find those 3 times. 3 minutes is long enough. If you've only got 1 minute, take it. But that breath, and let your mind kind of go into your meditative state and say, I am relaxed, I am calm, I am joyful. I am joyful. I love life, I'm relaxed, I am joyful, I love life. And now here's the hard one you got to start saying to yourself. You ready? I love my kids, I love my kids, I love my kids, I love my kids. Instead, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to... We've all been there, right? If you've had kids, you've been there. All right, we're going to do some techniques now to allow you to get into, quote, a mindfulness meditative state so that you can move from this kind of a place. I told you I was going to do this before the break, but I did something else instead. I'm going to give you something. You're not to do anything with it until I tell you to. Gotcha, Jim. Gotcha, Jim.
I should have known.
Are you ready back there, Maria? Maria, Maria. Stick your hand out before your other half here. Good job. Uh-oh. Here, Sandra. Okay. Enjoy.
Thank you.
You got your hands ready? I've got one up front. I'll throw it back here to you. Are you ready? Carol, head down. He wasn't ready. Bad pass, bad pass. My fault. this right here is very valuable. You take the breath you've learned, then take this, which is a research project from Harvard University, that eating a raisin, I don't know how they did it, I created it my own way, was equal to, for heart patients, to morphine. For a pain patient, a heart patient. So they got the same results for giving them a raisin, not a box of raisins, that they got from morphine. Now, I'm going to assume that they mindfully did it. They just wasn't walking down the street and threw a raisin in their mouth, that they let them think about it. So I'm going to walk you through eating a raisin. So here's how we're going to start. You're going to open a box and take out one. Don't eat it yet. Close your box back up. Stick it in your little holder on the side. You don't need to write this down.
I just like to write.
All that stuff can be printed right off of my website under resources. Okay. Now, what I'd like for you to do is to look at the raisin. I want you to pay attention to the raisin. I want you to look at the wrinkles. I want you to look at the color. I want you to pay attention to the ridges. Is it hard or is it soft? Kind of roll it around, see what it feels like between your fingers. Now, as you're looking at that raisin, I want you to think about something. That raisin was not always a raisin. At one time, it was a big old grape hanging on the vine. Now, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that raisin being a grape. What would it look like if it was a grape? And just imagine it on that vine, and as it's growing, it's taking in nourishment from Mother Earth. It's taking in energy from the sun, those rays, optimistic yellow rays of the sun, those healing orange rays of the sun shining down into that raisin. Now take that raisin and bring it up and kind of roll it around by your ear, because now this raisin has been laid out in the sun. Your eyes are closed. I want you to imagine the things you're doing. Remember, when we close the eyes, we take away the stimulation of the anterior cingulate, so we change. Now that raisin, which used to be a grape, pay attention to what you hear when you do that. Now bring it around and smell the fragrance. That's right. See what it might remind you of. Now open your mouth and place it on your tongue. Don't bite into it. Just kind of roll it around. Feel those ridges again. Feel the wrinkles. Begin to notice that there's change is taking place in your mouth. You can kind of tease it with your teeth. And when you're ready, you can actually bite into it, releasing that energy, releasing that nourishment, so that you are becoming one with that raisin as it begins to become a part of you. And in a moment, if you haven't already, you'll have the urge to swallow, and you can swallow whenever you like. And as you swallow, the energy, the nourishment from that raisin is moving down, down, down through your digestive system until it moves out into the bloodstream. And once it moves into the bloodstream, that raisin is starting to release from your body endorphins, melatonin, serotonins, and some are now saying even dopamine, as it takes and latches itself into every cell of your body. Now relax with yourself there and feel calm with yourself. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Come back to this time and place. Anybody want to share that experience? I won't hold it against you if you enjoyed it. How many experienced nothing at all? Well, there's just another raisin. Okay, good. So you experienced nothing at all. So you didn't taste the flavor of the raisin at all.
No, I mean, I didn't experience anything different than I would any other time.
How do you know? How do you know?
From past experience.
I know, but that's where you've got your problem, isn't it? Dealing in past experiences. So the idea now is, how do you create a new experience? By quit thinking of the past experiences and thinking about staying focused in exactly what you're doing. Listening to the sound, listening to the words, and thinking. When I said raisin other than or a grape, what did you do? What did you create?
I thought this is gonna be dull.
All right. So what he's getting is what?
What do you think?
What he's thinking. So only you can change. Okay. So what did you do, April? How did you visualize that?
I've never had a raisin like that before, and I've eaten a lot of them. I've been this raisin and out there in the
Okay.
sun, ripening just for me, and then wrinkling up, and I felt every little ridge on my tongue.
All
It was
right.
exquisite tasting and sweet.
She had joyful time.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to John, because John is still thinking about what he don't want rather than what he wants. What would you have liked to have gotten out of that?
Random experience.
Okay. How do we create a new experience?
Letting go of the past.
And seeing something in a new way. Letting go of the past and seeing something in a new way. So how could you have seen that? Because I said, okay, think of it as a grape on the vine, and you said this is going to be boring. Well, if you'd been to Napa Valley and to Sonoma Valley a few times and been the designated driver for the Wives Club, you'd realize there's nothing boring about that. All right. So, and that plate back there is a plate in one of my classes bought me, and it says, big old bunch of grapes, and all it says is raisin underneath. So the point that for you to make the change that you want to make, John, is to start looking at, okay, when you start that thought, well, this is boring, okay, but how do I want to think about this? What do I want to happen? And that's why you have to think about it. Does that make sense to the rest of you? Anybody else want to share how they went through that experience? Barbara, how about you? You don't want to share?
No, not really.
Okay. It didn't kill you, right?
Oh, no.
Okay,
it was,
good.
It was,
Did you have a joyful experience?
yeah, I enjoyed the grape.
Good. See? Right there you are. She had the grape all the way through because she don't like raisins.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like raisins.
Oh, well,
I
that's
like
good
grapes
too.
better.
Nice and sweet. Okay. Donna?
When you talked about it, you and the raisin becoming one.
Yeah.
You know, that was an interesting way to think about that.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Carol?
I enjoyed feeling it and thinking, is it getting bigger? Am I getting enough liquid into it to get out and look at it, put it back?
Lewis, how about you? It was a raisin. Okay, but it's not that it was a raisin, it's what you are thinking. And if you're thinking it's just a raisin, what do you get?
It's a raisin.
Just a raisin. Because you put down what? What is it you want to accomplish here? You put down two things. What was one of them?
Get in better shape, lose weight.
All right, to lose weight. So therefore, this is a great way to look at it. If you can take one raisin and enjoy it, that small amount, then you can think about small amounts of other foods giving you that same pleasure, that same enjoyment. But it's up here between your ears. If you think, well, it's just a raisin, then that's all it ever is. It's just a raisin. But if you think this is a process, this is a change, then it becomes a process or a change. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Carl, do you mind sharing a little with us?
Sure.
Was it just a raisin?
No, well, something that you said about giving us to some kind of patience and turn corn feed, so in my mind it turned into a painkiller and just stopped hurting.
There you go. Did it surprise you that all of a sudden, instead of saying stopped hurting, start using this term? It became more comfortable. It became comfortable.
Yeah.
All right? So he got comfortable. So all he did was take what science said happened, and he utilized it to better himself, to make himself feel better. So that's cool. And that's what hypnosis is all about. It's changing your mind so you change your physiology within your body. A cool thing. So, anybody else want to share? Cheryl, I haven't called on you and you haven't said anything, but you have this wonderful glow about your face. So tell me what's happening.
I guess I was probably thinking more along the pain management as well. And what you had stated up to that.
Cool. And what can we stimulate? The placebo effect if we change our thoughts in the right direction. The placebo effect is one of the most powerful, quote, painkillers, comfort creators out there. A pill only has to be 2% more effective than the placebo effect to be approved by the FDA. All right. Now, did you like that? How would you like to do something else like that? Let's see what you do with this one, John. Now, don't lose your marbles. Here, Jim, help me hand these out here. You do the back, I'll do the front. Give me that itty bitty one, that little pee-wee there. All right. The story of my life. I'll tell you, Jim, I am tempted. I am tempted to give you this one, but I'm not going to. It's the only black one I've got. I'm going to keep that for my wife. Let's see. I'm going to pick out a good one for you, Jim. How about some that has nothing, so you really have to think? I don't know. You got one already, right? Yeah, see, I didn't even get to choose for him.
Thank you.
Anybody else need one? You should have made better friends with Jim. He may have given you one.
Two more. Two more.
After I put them back into them.
I said it before.
What is your favorite color, Cheryl?
Red.
Well, you're out of luck. But I did get, you got red?
I got red stripes.
Oh, she's got the same color. I don't call that red, I call that tangerine. All right. Anybody else make the sound? All right. Look at you. Whoa. Pay attention to your marble. Just go ahead and look at it. Focus on it. Look at your colors. Now, I know you got colors that were just handed to you. If you would rather have other colors, imagine what colors you'd rather have. Or if you mixed two of your colors together, what color would you end up with? Like if you had red and yellow, then what would you have? You'd have orange. So think blue and yellow would be green. So you can change those any way that you want to. So I want you to kind of look at it, see what the colors and the marble itself mean to you. And as you roll it around, pay attention if there's any defects in that marble. And as you roll it, you may even begin to notice or think about if you've ever looked into a kaleidoscope, that as these colors turn, it's like a kaleidoscope color. Now what you're supposed to do with that, Jim, is to remember the kaleidoscope. Right, now close your eyes and put it in one hand and roll it around your fingers. Just roll it around again, looking for imperfections. Thinking about now those colors, remembering what colors were in your marble. There may have been only one color, there may have been three colors, there may have been two colors. But take those colors and create to them however you wish. So if you don't like those colors, create a different color. Or more than one color. And now take that marble and close it up in your fist as you're thinking about what do marbles remind you of. If you're a baby boomer, that was our smartphone in the old days, our Game Boy. But now I want you to pay attention to something, because that marble is starting to change, because you're changing it. You are changing the molecular structure of that marble just by heating it up with your hand. It's expanding like the universe. So in your mind, see that expansion. See it getting bigger and bigger and bigger, even though it's only perceptibly so. So close it in your hand. Let it get warm. That's right. Now think about that marble. Think about all the things it could have been used for. Think about how the colors got created within it, because it's now part of the universe as it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now open your hand back up and put it back in between your fingers as it begins to change again, as the coolness now begins to shrink it back down to the size it was before you put it in your palm. never back to its natural size until you actually lay it on something of ambient heat and temperature. Now just concentrate on the colors. Focus on what it would be like if you were a marble. What it would be like if you had those colors. That's good. Now when you're ready, open your eyes. This is called mindfulness meditative training, and the whole purpose of it is to relieve stress. And also, during that time, you can now flood your mind with the things that you want to flood. For John, it would be good now to see himself creating what? A schedule. Jim, what do you want to create?
Less pain.
Okay, how about more comfort?
More comfort.
And that's the key. That's what the book by Coué, My Method, is all about. It's recreating or restating the obvious. Okay, what do you really want? Do you want less pain or do you want more comfort?
No, I want to be more comfortable. I want to have joy and unrestricted happiness.
All right. So how do you get that? First of all, in this mindfulness, you allow your mind to believe that you've already got it. So you see the comfort, not the, quote, less pain. In less pain, what's the last word?
Pain.
Right. So what do you think the mind is working on?
Oh, it's focusing on pain.
On pain. Because the declarative less, not, no, those words do not have images. Comfort has an image. What would a comfort look like to you?
A sandy beach and a Mai Tai.
So that, ooh, I'll go for the Mai Tai. I don't care for the sandy beach. All right, so I'm going to sit by the pool and I'm going to have a Mai Tai with you. Now, the thing I want you to look at, that's the vision. But that's not enough. What else you got to have? Because I said, what would comfort look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're there and you're comfortable while you're there. That's the whole key. Then you see yourself doing other things in your life that are comfortable. Work, if you're working. Those are the things you've got to see. But you got to see it the way you want to see it. Carol, what'd you see in your marble?
Well, one side it's a boat, has the same colors as on the outside, what's a different shape.
You went to the cloud, didn't you?
Yeah.
Ain't that what we did with clouds? We used to make them look like animals and stuff, and that's what you did with your marble. Good job. Good imagination. Now, what did you see that benefited you in what you're here for?
The beauty in something so simple.
And the beauty in sleep. The beauty in sleep. See, I always got to associate those. The beauty in sleep. Sleeping beauty. All right? And that's how you have to start changing how you think. That's the whole process. Jim, can you share with us?
Since I'm ADD, I went Captain.
Whoa, do you want to be ADD?
I don't know.
Well, there's always a secondary gain for everything that happens, no matter what it is. We just don't always know it. All right, so let's talk about that then. You went to Captain what? Captain Ron?
No, Captain Quig or whatever it is, Mutiny on the Bounty.
Oh, yeah.
Humphrey Bogart with the
Oh, yeah.
in his hand.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I got lost at. Because my mind focused on that.
Okay, good. So when your mind focused on that, what else happened with you? How did you physically feel?
Kind of calm, because I was concentrating on, because I was watching him always turning that marble over in his hand.
Yeah. Now that's cool. I'm going to have to buy that movie now so I can pull that part out.
Yeah.
So think about that, how we associate things. Now we have a choice. We can associate it to something we don't want, or we can associate it to something that, a great movie. The ending wasn't always so good, but it was a great movie. It was well done. So looking at it from that aspect, Maria, how about you? How did you relate with that, since I've not called on you all night?
With the time where I was playing with it,
Okay.
and it gave me joy, and those feelings that I had
Fabulous. Fabulous. Now look at what you've done, April. You've given everybody joy because you brought it up. They're having joyful times right here, right now. And that's a good, good thing. Okay, so what else is happening? Anybody else want to share anything, like a memory from the Marble Lewis? You kind of shaking your head yes back there, or are you just about to fall out of your chair?
No, this one doesn't lean back. Sunset.
Sunset?
Yeah.
Cool.
The orange, the blue.
Sunset where?
In the backyard.
All right. Cool. Because if I'm working with people, a sunset's not as important as to where does that sunset. Where is it that you want to see that sunset? That becomes very important at that particular time. What did you look like watching that sunset?
Enjoyed it.
Now, what did you look like? Now, what did you feel? This is your opportunity now, because you want weight loss, is to see yourself looking your optimal weight. Not no so many pounds off, not slimmer, not trimmer, but what would your optimal weight be? And you may never know till you get to it. But you see yourself, those pounds melting away in the same way that a flame would melt away the wax of a candle, or an ice cube would melt on the countertop. Those are the things that's how you start looking and seeing things. Right? Any other questions, comments? Jim, I'm leaving you alone on this, and do you want to share anything? You thought you was going to get by, didn't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Jack.
Jack, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I just thought they'd make good paint colors for the house.
Cool. All right. There you go. When I grew up, man, it was playing for keeps. The more marbles you had, the better you were. It was gambling at a young age in Cott County. Here, have a drink of moonshine, play marbles. Okay.
Buy some roosters.
What'd you say about Cott County?
It sounds more like Kentucky than Cott County.
Yeah. I tell you what, when I was 17 years old, trying to decide what I want to do with my life, and I'm walking down the high school hall. I won't say passageway from the neighborhood. I'm walking down the hall, and there's this guy sitting in there with this beautiful blue jacket on, had a stripe down his pants, had this wonderful white hat sitting out there, and I thought, I think I'll join the Marine Corps. I'm 17, but I'm a senior. So I walk in, I realize, you know what, this is 1966. It'd be safer to go to Vietnam than stay in Cott County, so I joined the Marine Corps. And you think I'm teasing, that was what went through my mind. Safer to go to Vietnam than stay in Cott County. So I joined the Marines, never went to Vietnam. Got out of the Marines and ran out of money, and the Army said they'd send me to school, so I joined the Army, still during Vietnam, still didn't have to go to Vietnam. And then I got out and went to school, and 11 years later I asked my boss, I said, how much money I got in my retirement fund? He told me, and I said, huh? So I joined the Navy. And then I retired from the Navy. I just do what flows right. Never make decisions, just do what comes. All right. What else could we use now to get into this meditative state? What was going on when you came in here? Different types of music. Now the kids today, I don't know. That ain't meditative, but they're in trance. They're definitely in trance, but it's not relaxed. This is a piece of music that me and a guy, actually I got him a job in Morristown as a CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist. They used to work for me. And we spent 3 months coming up with something that I could accept for my clients to listen to. Because in those days you couldn't go out and buy royalty-free music. So we came up with this, and we put it on my first tape that we actually played during surgery. So, but now close your eyes and listen to the music. One of the things, April, you might teach your kids, okay, let's all sit down and listen to some music. Now this particular piece of music has a subliminal message, and that subliminal message basically says, every day I'm happier, healthier, more content, more peaceful, and more relaxed. Every day I see things in their true perspective without magnifying them. Every day I'm more serene, I'm more tranquil, I'm more mellow. Every day I have more optimism, I have more self-confidence. Not only in doing the things I have to do, but more self-confidence in doing the things I want to be able to do. So now I want you to focus on what you want to be able to do. For some of you, it's let go of anger. For others, it's to be more comfortable. For some of you, it's to be organized. For some, it's just to be joyful. But see, all of those things that you put on your paper, the things that you want to accomplish, is nothing more than a choice. And it all starts within the imagination. Whatever you imagine is what you create and what you become. And nobody can make the choice for you as to what you will imagine, what you'll pretend, what you'll see yourself to be. And as long as it's realistic and believable, it's achievable. As long as it's realistic and believable, it's achievable. So think about, what do you really want? What are you willing to do meditative-wise, self-hypnosis-wise, to allow it to come true, to come to fruition? If you continue to think the way that you've always thought, then you'll continue to be the way you've always been. Because it says right up here, we tend to realize our dominant thought. And you've heard it since you were a kid, don't say I can't. But also as children, we've been told that we can't. So enjoy this moment for yourself. Now I'm going to be quiet and let you just focus on the music with its alpha tones, the subliminals, and feel at peace with yourself. Do that now. And now go to your happy, safe place. A place that you just feel comfortable and joyful. It could be the beach. It could be your backyard watching a sunset. It could be walking along a mountain path. See if you can truly visualize that happening. If you're having trouble visualizing, just pretend that's what you're doing. For some people, it's very simple, very easy. For others, it's a little more difficult. For some, it takes practice. For others, it's no problem. And now open your eyes. Anybody want to share anything with that? So what are your statements going to be? On that sheet of paper at the bottom on your clipboard, write an action statement for you. And that we looked at a couple of them. One of them was, I am relaxed, I am calm. For Jim and Carl, I am comfortable. For April, it might be, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I'm joyful. I feel joy. But when you say those words, what have you got to have with them? A picture of sensation. What does feeling joyful actually feel like and look like? What does feeling comfortable, remembering back to when you were comfortable sometime? Let those parts of your body that are uncomfortable remember what comfort felt like. And isn't it amazing how easy sometimes it is? And if you'll start taking that breath and allowing that breath, let the oxygen move into your muscles, usually the easiest thing to do for comfort is to relax the muscles. If I was to do this, I could do it for a long time and never feel any discomfort or tiredness. But if I tighten up every muscle and I do this, about the second time it starts burning. Third time it burns a lot. Because what have I done when I tense up the muscles? I've squeezed out the oxygen and the nourishment. And when you squeeze out the oxygen, then you cause discomfort. So most people who have discomfort, especially back pain, fibromyalgia, it's because those muscles are squeezed down and they squeeze the oxygen, the blood out of those tissues. Imagine them being marshmallows, feathers, a sponge, anything that allow, and visualize the flow of blood and oxygen going into them. That'll work really good. All right. Somebody, before we finish up, we got 2 things left, because you got to get your certificates. Who asked Lena if we got a certificate? Probably somebody that didn't show up. And she said, how come you told them they'd get a certificate? I didn't tell them they'd get a certificate. You told them they'd get a certificate. Well, she made them today for you. All right. Carol, tell me what your action statement is. Your triad, your 3 things.
Practice my self-hypnosis exercise every night and once during the day.
Okay, let's go back to the action statement. You're doing fine with that. The action statement is, I am relaxed, I am calm, I am at peace. I am comfortable, I'm at peace, I'm relaxed, I am calm, I'm asleep. For you, that would be the one. I am relaxed, I am calm, I am asleep. Or if you've got some discomforts, I am relaxed, I am comfortable, I am asleep. Now don't say that when you're driving. Okay? Let's use some sense. All right. Last thing I want to look at before you do your evaluation is this piece of paper right here. So let's pass these out. And pass these back there. Now give me one more up here. Because Jim won't give them to David, I have to. Okay, take one. Thank you. Give one to your mom.
Thank you.
Oh. So won't you look at this for a minute? And on one side it says reinforce, and the other side it says encourage. So what we're looking at is suggestions. Suggestions are things we're taught. They're basically, they get tattooed on our brain. They become imprints. And those suggestions then become beliefs. Those beliefs are truly only perceptions. And a perception to the brain is a truth, regardless of what it is and how wrong it is. It's still a truth, and our brain responds to that perception as a truth. Right? So that's why if we think of something in the past, even though it's in the past, our perception is it's now. It's happening right now. That's why those of you who had response to the lemon had the response to the lemon. Now, our feelings. Feelings will determine the choices we make. If we feel depressed, if we feel unhappy, then the choices we make are totally different than if we feel great. Hey man, I feel great, let's go do this. I feel unhappy, I just want to sit here and not be bothered by anybody. So those are the things we can look at. Well, I sure would like to have a cigarette. Well, he said I'd live another 10 years if I quit smoking, but I really like to smoke, so what if I quit and then in 5 years I got killed in a car accident, so I lost those 5 years I wanted to smoke. I had that happen one day. Amazing. Attitudes also determine your choices. We talked about attitude over here. If your attitude's not right over here, the why, the how, making the choice of the how and choice of doing the actions is not going to be good. Your behaviors are how you are characterized. That's your identity. That's who you are. Your behaviors determine who you are, which then will determine your fate, your success or failure. So what is on the left side? What's pointing? What is being reinforced? All the negative. That's why I say, oh man, I don't know if I can go to work today. I really hurt bad, or I can't do that. Oh man, them kids are killing me. Oh man, it's almost 3:45. Oh no. Or life is just no fun. I'm not having fun today. Today's not a good day. But we could also, my golf game's getting worse and worse. But what can we do? What's enforcing on the other side? We're going to enforce better choices. We're going to enforce better attitudes. We're going to give ourselves different suggestions. Enforce good behaviors. Quit reinforcing bad behaviors. Now, can we reinforce good behaviors? Yes. But do most of us do that? Rarely. Which is stronger, a positive or a negative? Which has more power?
Negative.
A negative. Anybody here been in the military besides me? Okay, Jim, let me ask you this question. What did they say about one old crap?
Wipes out 10 attaboys.
Yeah, one old crap gets rid, we didn't use that word, but that gets rid of 10 attaboys. No way. One negative gets rid of 10 positives. That's how much more powerful it is. When we speak to ourselves, our subconscious listens. That is why it's so reasonable to know that is the access to our subconscious mind. Your thoughts go to the limbic system. The limbic system changes the chemical behaviors that's going on within the brain, which changes the chemical responses, the physical responses that go on within our body. Nobody can make your choices but you. Nobody can say to you, except you, what you're willing to listen to. If we accept suggestions from others, then they've talked to our we've allowed them to access our subconscious. So the question is, do you want to access it? Now, doesn't mean that you don't let the right people access your subconscious. But if you got somebody telling you, well, that was crap, I don't know why you did that, don't ever do that again, then you've got to go back in and evaluate yourself. Hey, I did a good job here. They don't know what they're talking about. Well, I'm really feeling, I'm not into this. I'm just not into that. I said, well, you are now. That's what one of my kids said to me. I said, oh, you just got into it, buddy. All right, so those are the things that we do. Any questions, comments, or thoughts? That clock's an hour fast. You know, it was an hour slow last night. All right, no, it was an hour fast last night. All right, close your eyes. Now you create for yourself an action statement. Just say to yourself, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I'm at peace. I am relaxed, I am calm, I sleep good at night. I am joyful, and I'm in awe of life. I feel good. I feel calm. I feel relaxed. I am happy. I am joyful. I am at peace. You choose what you want to say for you. Now take the breath that you've learned how to take and allow that oxygen to flow throughout every part of your body. Oxygen is life. Life is living. Living is what you choose to make it for you. And we'll give you about a half a minute to just play with that. Let the music vibrate through your body. Alpha tones, biorhythmic, 60 beats a minute, like your heart. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I am going to ask that you evaluate what we did. If you sign it, that means I can use it. If you don't sign it, then I won't use it because I don't have your permission. I'd like for you to be honest. But those of you who want to lie, I'll accept that too. We actually do use these to make sure we do things good. Now, those of you who handed in a white card, don't leave until I hand you your gift. Now, I want you to look up here for a minute. You just don't look, you put it in side pocket or take it home with you. Because what does orange stand for? What's the color? And don't say UT. It's healing color. That's the healing color. So if you can imagine orange flowing through your body, that's the healing. But it also, for this night, is all the information, just keep an eye up here, is all the information that I've put into your brains. Some of you, it may or may not be there. For the others, it may come back whenever you need it. So keep that in mind, okay? Just keep in mind that you can lose it or you can keep it. Now look back up here again. Where my cups are stuck together. Nothing but plain old water. Some of you have taken from the drink of life. And you're going to change your life because of that. Some of you have just poured it out, not getting any use out of it. But there's going to be a few of you that no matter what you do, this is going to be a part of the rest of your life, just these 2 nights. And what will happen is it will never, ever come out. It will always be a part of who you are. All right, finish them up. Well, as you can see, we have finished our 3 hours a night over 2 nights. You can see some of the things that went on, and you can see some of the characters that were a part of what we did. We made sure that everybody did an evaluation so that we know what we need to do better. We also made sure that everybody got something to take home that had to do with the issue that they came here to work on. We know now that at least they know how to do their New Year's resolutions. They know how to be more comfortable, how to stop smoking, how to lose weight. You too can put together this type of a program for both financial gain and being able to help others help themselves. Thank you so much for being a part of what we did.